talking out of sync. You know what I'm saying? Talking out of sync. Can't nobody.
Doors of the Love Church are now open. Dear world, you name it, we cover it from the world of singles to the behind the scenes of the greatest movie ever filmed, called Marriage. We dig into everything from dating 101. Why won't they commit? It's complicated. I can't do it if it's the three of us. They're a good person, but I'm not attracted to them in that way. 2, they really didn't disclose who they were before I said I do. How do I do this if they can't keep a job? The bills are paid, but the bedroom is suffering. Did I marry you or did I marry your family? Because we only can take care of us. Let's open up our marriage. Why do I have to buy into your beard gang illusion? You could have told me you were down low and we could have remained friends and not married. And last but not least, did you marry me or your pastor? Have we gotten your attention yet? If so, tune in to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to hear more of today's real issues in the world of love. The doors of the Love Church are now open.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. I'm your host, Charles Dixon, and I am here with my co-host, Mr. Adam Ford. How are you, sir?
What's up, fam? How y'all doing on this Thursday? I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
I hope somebody's feeling a little better this week.
I don't want to go down this road. I don't want to go down this road. I do not want to go down this road today, okay? I want to behave. I want you to behave, okay? I want my life to be good after the show. I want my life to be good after the show. So
he want his post-life.
Yes.
Show, like to be okay. All right, post show.
Look, listen, I'm already in trouble.
Oh my goodness, man. Whew. All right. So, otherwise, how has your week been, man?
Good. Last couple of weeks been a little under the weather, a little sick or whatever like that. Whole family was hit, then everybody else got hit, and just on the road to recovery. I'm recovered for the most part, but you know how you have that hanging, that last cough that doesn't want to seem to let go. Well, that's
That's what's going on.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
so
cool,
y'all be safe. Y'all take care of yourselves. Make sure you boost your immune system. Take your vitamins. Take your zinc. Take your vitamin D, vitamin E, man. It's a lot of stuff going around.
There's a whole lot of things happening.
Yeah. I'm encouraging everybody to take care of yourself. And if you're sick, stay home. Do not go to work.
So listen, man. I woke up feeling like I was in Chicago. I look out the window and it's a blanket.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Chicago. And that's not. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not really complaining. Anything better than the furnace outside. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But it was a little odd to actually see a blanket. Not like a little bit, but you see like streets covered, ice. You're like, oh, this is different.
Yeah. And we don't have no snow. We are cold, but we have no snow. None. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful right now. Shoot.
All right. So, all right. Today's topic. Let's see. We are talking about today basically it's called the ROI of dating today. For those of you who may not know what ROI means, it's return on investment. Basically, am I getting something back from what I put in? Does it land a partner or a problem? Mr. Ford, you want to do us the honors and we can go on forth from there?
Sure. The investment of you and the investment in stock are conceptually similar in many ways, and both share the goal of making selections based on their potential to increase in value, pay dividends, and scale in performance. This is also known as a return on investment or ROI. Dating today presents us with the opportunity to exercise in choice how we choose to invest our time and efforts in those we deem worthy of it. This then begs the question, what characteristics make someone a safe investment? Well, much like the stock market, it's totally risk-based. Some say where there is no risk, there is no reward. So how much of you are you willing to risk for your reward? And do you believe in the concept of if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again? Yes, I already know what you're thinking. Ain't nobody got time to be playing games or to be played with, which is totally fair and very much true. However, the only way to uncover whether there is a gem found in that of a partner from a decoy and problem designed to distract is to unwrap, discover, and either take the risk or recognize it is a problem and you must withdraw yourself. That's it.
All right. Man. Okay. So let's just jump right on into this. Number one, if we are talking the comparison, we're talking about how we invest ourselves to how some of the best stockbrokers invest in strategic stock. The first things first, and this is something a lot of us really probably don't do, but the first things first, they research the stock. Like they do their homework. See, put it this way. You just don't show stock brokers just don't show up to a day party, to the church, to the grocery store and just say, man, that's a good looking stock. Can I get your numbers so I can invest in you today? Right? It just doesn't happen like that. What we do is, once people make that connection of this is where I'm designing my thoughts to invest, then there's like a process. You want to kind of get to know who you are preparing to empty yourself into, basically. Because when you're investing, you're emptying. If you're being, let's see, what's the best way to say it? If you're being transparent, if you're taking the time to, you're just kind of being upfront. If you're trying to be honest, that takes you giving of yourself, right? It's easy to kind of hide behind the 8 ball and be James Bond. But if you're going to give of yourself, it takes all of these things. And so that's where probably for some people, that's where the fear line gets drawn. I believe people really would love to be able to unleash who they are and let it be. But I think we are trepidatious because of the time we live in and because we know one slip of your investment, just as it is in the real world, you'll lose your whole portfolio, right? True. The wrong stock is going to, then the whole people you done got to encourage around you to support you as they do in the stock world. They're trying to get people to support the movement. And once they get people bought into it, if you remember that story about, they had that movie that was about GameStop. Remember that whole, it was a movie out about GameStop and how the person in charge, the person who was over it had a great idea. They kind of got some investors and people to believe in him. And so at first it looked rocky, right? It looked rocky, but the key was people that really were strong supporters stuck with it and got the payout. Right. So I'm saying that to say in today's world, when it comes to dating, we can identify someone or something like that. And then we start out, but if we feel like the stock isn't performing like we feel in the moment, we'll take our resources and leave the stock, right? That's kind of how we are today. So let's get into this. Yeah.
Okay. I think like you said, I think it's important that whenever you're going to make a lifetime investment in regards to how you're going to be with someone or the relationship that you're going to be in them, that it is absolutely imperative that you do your homework, which means you're going to have to begin to have conversations and you're going to begin to have to ask questions in regards to the person that you are potentially interested in. Because if you don't do this, if you don't ask the questions, and then if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to know whether or not this relationship is worth your investment. And again, none of us have time just to waste on something that is not going to pay off in the end. Nobody wants to sit there and spin their wheels. Nobody wants to do something that is not worthwhile. Nobody wants to spend any time doing anything that's not going to pay dividends in terms of what your investment is. And so it's important that in those first dating scenarios, those first encounters, 2-3 months down the line, that you are asking the right questions, that you're not shying away from those things that need to be answered. And the same goes true for the other person that possibly could be dating you, that you have to be open to answering those questions. You can't sit here and hide yourself in such a way that you're keeping the worst parts of you away, but that you're willing to be transparent and honest enough in the discussion of a possible relationship, so that person can also make a fair assessment as to whether or not this relationship has any viability at all. And again, I think sometimes we often do ourselves a disservice by not disclosing certain things about ourselves. Now, again, I've always said that it doesn't do you any good to completely vomit on the person everything about you.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea, because that person is not going to want to have anything to do with you because you've gave them too much information to process at one particular time. But over the course of your dating life, in the passage of that relationship, as you go along in that relationship, you ought to be giving parts of yourself. You ought to be disclosing parts of yourself as that person earns your trust along the way. Trust is important. Trust, it gives us the ability to know, hey, this is a person I can depend upon. This is a person that I feel safe and secure with. And so I can share myself in a way where I don't feel as though they might use this information against me at some later point in time. So it's important that we are opening up ourselves to questions, and that we're answering questions, and that we're being honest with one another. Because again, if we're not going to be honest with one another in terms of being in a relationship with each other, what's the point of being in a relationship? If we're not going to be honest, if we're going to sit here and play the game, as it were, and hide stuff and be deceptive about who we are, then what is the point of that? Because if we're doing that, if we're being deceptive, then 9 times out of 10, that other person is also being just as deceptive. You know what I'm saying? So somebody at some point in time has to be honest, has to be truthful about who and what they are.
Wow. And that's great. And I think in some conversations, initially when you're getting to know someone, I think there are key things you can listen for when you are talking that'll kind of give you an idea that a person is expecting a return. Because it's a difference. When someone is not, it's an eye-opening thing to be dating someone and they not give you any inkling at all of something to expect out of you, from you, or with you in the long haul. And that could be scary, because that could simply mean I'm just here for the interim. It's something to do. I'm hanging out with you. You're cool. You safe, or you're cute. You're fine. You're whatever the case. And I don't mind lending myself right now. So we don't have to have those kind of down the road conversations or what my 5-year plan is looking like, because it doesn't matter, right? I'm here right now. But like you said, there needs to be a balance, because like you said, someone who could meet you, start dating you, and then immediately within that first 2 days, they kind of vomiting all over the conversation. You're like, okay, give me, siphon it to me a little bit. Don't drench me in it, like siphon it a little bit, make it a little bit of a storyline, right? But when you, like you said, anybody would kind of look at somebody sideways if on the first date they just emptied the whole suitcase out and laid it out, because that might be a little too much for everybody.
Yeah.
And something I noticed that we do that probably doesn't help us any is we teeter around being interested in stocks that are already showing us before we invest that it's probably not a good stock, or that it's problematic. We try to find a reason to give ourselves to it, right? Because there are people who will say to you from the onset, well, right now I'm working on myself, or right now I'm taking time for me. I don't mind going out, or I'm this and that and the other. But basically, I have a sign on me that says under construction. So I know you think you see something good in me potentially from your part of it, but I'm telling you, if you invest in here, you pouring money down the drain, right? Wow. So, but we still be like, but wait, don't feel that way about your stock. Do 1,360 one time. Okay. But anyway, so you got some pretty good stock. But no, but we look at those things and we say to ourselves, but it might be all right. And the person is telling you whether that here's the irony to that. You may think you see something in them, but if they're telling you that truth up front, it's one of two things. They're letting you know I'm not a good investment right now. Right. Or they're not open to your investment. They don't want it. They don't want an investment from you. Okay. If the other person comes along, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm ready to be invested in," or whatever. But if they're not necessarily interested in your investment, they're going to tell you all the things that would probably make the average person turn around and go the other way. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, and we got to ask ourselves, how are we showing up? Are we showing up like an investment or a problem? And I think that's the key. How are we showing up to the situation? And showing up could mean an investment is, wow, being around this person. We're not just talking about finances, because that's kind of like the obvious. But I'm not talking about somebody's money or security. I'm talking about as a person, do you see them beneficial for your life? And do you see being a part of that person's life as something that's going to bring a return to your life, and vice versa? Right. Because if you both can see the irony in why this could work, then it could be a beautiful thing. But if it's one of those things where you show up and you kind of showing up like, I'm here, take it or leave it. It really doesn't matter. I don't really believe in this much anyway. Then you can't possibly really expect a good return. You know what I'm saying? Right. If that's how you're showing up to it.
Yeah. So let me introduce two different concepts when it comes to, I guess, investments from a financial perspective, and make application to that in the relationship world. So there are two words that I want us to consider. The first word is viable. Viable means worthwhile. It's sustainable. It's practical. It's something that actually can be done. It's feasible. Okay. And so when you're thinking about an investment, you want to think about how sustainable or viable this person or this relationship has the possibility of being. Because if it's not viable, if it's not sustainable, then you don't need to make that investment. You should not make that investment. You know what I'm saying? You should look at something else. The other side of the viability is the volatility. Volatility means unstable. It means it's not sustainable. It's something that is explosive. It's always in a state of fluctuation. You can't depend upon it. It's not predictable. Okay. And so now when we're looking at our relationships in terms of our investment of time, energy, resources, you have to consider these two things. Is our relationship viable? Is it sustainable? Is this something that is going to be worthwhile in the long run? Is this something that's going to pay dividends in the long run if I put the work in to make it worthwhile? Or is this relationship volatile? Is this a relationship that is unstable, that is toxic, that is not worth my time or my energy or my effort in terms of making that investment in? And again, I think a lot of times, because of the fact that we look at the surface of things, we look at the surface of people, we look at their physicality in terms of how they look on the outside, and even some of the things they might say may sound appealing to us. But if we were to dig a little deeper, we would realize that there is a lot of volatility or unstableness there. But because of the fact that we are so attracted and so drawn to the physicality of the person, we miss the signs. We bypass the red flags, if you will, instead of looking for something that actually is viable and sustainable. Because a lot of times the viable thing to us doesn't look as attractive. As a matter of fact, the valuable thing to us actually looks boring. Actually looks like,
wow.
this is a sleeper. It's another good dude, or it's another good girl. They have no excitement about them. And so a lot of times we end up going with the volatile mix, which is the thing that we think will be exciting, but in the end, it blows up in our face. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's volatile. It's not stable. And so we need to begin to recalibrate how we look at relationships in our life and consider whether or not if they are volatile or viable.
Wow, that's good, man. And I guess in order to get to that point, can you hear me echoing a little bit? It's like I'm echoing, maybe.
No, you're good. You're good. You're
okay. Good. In order to get to that point, to really be able to determine that volatile stock, like that unstable stock, you have to sit with the person long enough to detect it. Because we are, if you're not living with someone, we are proficient at preparing ourselves to show you just what we want you to see. Right. We're going to show up how we want to present. We can get dolled up or all dapper and handsome to come out and see you, spend time with you, and meet you. But when it's behind the veil, and when nobody else is looking but your comfort level people, they see a whole different you, right? Yeah. And that whole different you may be the thing that people need to see to be like, wait, you said what again over there? That didn't sound like a very stable comment. Just making an example, or what you just did, that wasn't a stable action, or vice versa. And so sometimes we have to be able to look beyond that whole, like you said, that physical thing that we all can be hooked by, what we like. And you got to get to the bottom of it, because I promise you, if you sit with some things long enough, it's not that there is a such thing as one perfect person in this world from the other, because we all are flawed. However, there are some people that need some extra attention. Let's just put it that way, right? Okay. They need some extra help in some areas, and some people are in denial of it. Like some things can be very clear that there is some unhinging happening, whether it's emotionally, physically, whatever, but you can detect it. And I think people, especially in this kind of age group that most of us are in, people find it hard to receive someone giving them an observation about their personality at this age. Because it's almost like, I'm a grown person. I done made it all this far. Who are you to tell me? And the sad thing is, nobody said it to you sooner. Wow. Because it was evident. If somebody is a person that pays attention to people, and you can kind of soak up personalities and things like that, some things when people react, how they react. Because here's one of the famous things. People use the excuse of anger or being upset as a reason for you to experience a certain reaction that's dysfunctional. Now, granted, we all can be mad about some things, but being upset does not give anyone the excuse, especially if nobody put their hands on you, nobody did anything that's damaging your way of life. I mean, just because you're upset with somebody or mad about a circumstance, it does not give you the right to go off the rails. That's not an excuse, right? We gotta have temperance, we gotta have self-control, and you gotta keep, like as they say in the old days, keep it together, right? Don't get unraveled, because when people see someone that's easily unraveled, you say to yourself, what kind of life is this going to be if I venture on with this investment? Right. Is this going to be a life of walking on eggshells to avoid landmines that are already in their life? Right? Trigger points that maybe you didn't do something, you withheld something, you did a little too much of something, oh, you said the wrong thing, oh, you looked over there, and it's like, you're like, wait, where did all these landmines come from, right? And the sad thing is, in most cases, they were already there. We just overlooked them because of the other things we like about them.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So let's take it to this particular aspect of it. So the question that we need to ask, and I think it's the question that you started out asking, Charles, is um, are we self-evaluating?
Yeah.
Do we evaluate ourselves? Okay, yeah. We did not know this particular aspect of ourselves, that it was the way that it was, because nobody else told us that that's what it was, that they saw that particular thing in us. But the real question is, how is it that you don't know that about yourself at this point in time in your life? How is it that you've gone on as long as you have, and you haven't taken the time out to look at you? That's like if you were to walk outside and then you walk up to the front door and you see that the floor has been just mopped, and you walk in, but you did not realize, because you did not look at your shoes to see if there was mud on your shoes. But you walked in the house on the floor that's just been mopped. Well, that's not the person's problem that mopped the floor. That's the person who walked through the mud and did not take the time out to look at their shoes to see if they had mud on their shoes before they walked into the house. So the question, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, is the question whether or not, if you are self-evaluated. Referring back to the whole stock market analogy that we're using, there's a term that's called valuation. And basically, when it comes to stocks and things of that nature, you have to assess the value of that stock, which means you look at the history of it, you look at the volatility, the viability, you look at how it goes up, how it goes down. Does it have a steady state? Is it always volatile, or is there a place where it just kind of like gets to a medium and it just kind of like goes along? And so a lot of times, if we apply this to our own selves, if you evaluate yourself, you can determine by looking at your own past history where you are. And you can begin to pinpoint the things that you need to shore up and strengthen, so that when you get to that next relationship, you're in a better position to make a go of that relationship, to make that relationship successful, because you've done the necessary self-evaluation of yourself to be able to appraise, estimate, and determine your value and your worth. But if you don't do this, if you've never taken the time out to be honest with yourself, if Adam never took the time out with Adam to look at Adam in the mirror and determine the things that Adam needed to do in order to be the person that he needed to be in order to be in the relationship, so that he can make the investment with the person that he needed to make the investment with, then he will never get there, because he's never taken the time out for himself to look at himself, to be able to determine what your weak areas are.
Wow.
And so we have to, it's not just about what everybody else is doing. I'm always a proponent of you doing the work on you. I'm always going to be a proponent of you doing the work on you before somebody else comes. You need to look at you in a very honest light and look at your qualities, your habits, your thought processes, your attitudes, your moods, your dispositions, and assess and appraise your viability or volatility when it comes to being in a relationship. Because the reality is, if you're not there, you're not there. And you're going to end up messing up somebody else's life because you're not there, because you weren't willing to be honest with you about where you really are.
Wow, that's it, man. Listen, this really comes down to this open-ended fact. Just like I had relatives that are like in the country, right? So coming up, when I came up in the country, I would love to go down there because we would do all the stuff outside, planting trees, pulling tobacco, all those little things like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm making a point. Now, of course, it's a different timeline in terms of how long it may take for this to happen. Mm-hmm. But when you think of investing yourself, I look at it how when we planted those fruit trees.
Okay.
And the point I'm making is at some point along the way, you ought to see fruit of your investment.
Okay.
If you're making an investment and you don't see, this is indicative of, what do you call the stock that's that you said is the one that's not the good one?
Volatile. Volatile.
This is an example of volatile stock. Is investing, no fruit. Investing, no fruit.
Right.
It's no such thing as like just if it's nothing more than sometimes we can just be around a person a lot and either their positivity, the way they may approach life, the way they may handle certain problems. Maybe they're a no nonsense person and you like, man, I need to be more like that because I always say yes. I don't say no, right? And so there ought to be some things about that interaction between one another that should rub off one way or another. Okay. Somebody should learn something. It just shouldn't be constant interaction, but we don't take away nothing and nothing grows. What that really says is I'm with you, but I don't respect you. So because I don't respect you, I'm not receiving from you. Because anything that someone is trying to give you, if I'm trying to invest and you're rejecting it, you're not respecting it. Right, and if you're not respecting it, you're not really into it like you may say you are. Other than that, the exchange should be fruitful. I should learn something. I should gain something. You should learn something. You should gain something. And over time, it should become picturesque and evident that this is happening. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, because so the thing of it is, if I am making the investment, let's establish this fact. That fact is that if I'm going to make an investment in you and in this relationship, then the value of what I invest has to be considered as valuable by both. Because if you don't value what I'm giving, then you don't consider it to be valuable, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. So there has to be some value that is attributed to whatever it is that I invest. There has to be a value attributed to my time and my energy and my thoughts. And if I'm giving of myself in this way, then I automatically think that there is value to what I'm giving. But I need you to also attribute value to what I'm giving. Because if you don't, then you disregard it. Just like you said, Charles, you disrespect it. It is not appreciated. It is not something that you consider to be worth anything at all. So in order for our relationship to actually have the best chance of survival and success, we both have to give and attribute equal value to that which has been invested. Otherwise, the investment is not worth anything, which means it's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort. And so I need to be able, I need you to see what I'm giving as just as valuable as what you're giving. It needs to be something that we both consider to be important. Again, if it's not, then neither of us are going to be making any progress in this relationship.
Wow.
You know?
Here's another good thing to think about. This is what you would call being real with yourself.
Okay.
When we meet people and when we're starting to date, be in relationships and so on and so forth, you got to be wise enough as an investor, because all of us, anyone that's looking to be in a relationship, you are an investor.
Right.
Depending on what kind of investor you are is another thing, but you are an investor. And so here's an important thing. Do you understand the profit margins about that person? That means, have you had a real talk with yourself about, you know what? Adam is a great man. He's this, that, and other. You know what? He's probably not going to do all of this, but he's going to be consistent and he's going to love me. That's a real talk with yourself. Instead of having, we like to invest, but have unrealistic expectations. Adam is going to make me $3 billion. Who knows? God may bless him one day to do it, right? But if Adam is just like, listen, we live in a comfortable life, we okay. don't keep throwing $3 million over Adam's head, right? That's what I mean. And so a lot of us, we do that. We come into it and we don't do the proper research on the person that we're with. So we don't understand their margins. We don't understand how far they can stretch and how far they can't, how rigid they are, how understanding they are. We just go for the, you look good. I like talking to you. I like sitting down across from you, and we enjoy each other. It's more to it than that, right? If you're talking about inviting the investment of inviting someone in your life permanently, that's a serious investment, right? And we can't take lightly, because I mean, when you take on a partner, and as the words say, the two shall cleave together. Mm-hmm. So that means that person's elements become your elements. That person's issues become your issues. The great things about them become your celebrations, because y'all are all one. But so that means you got to be very clear as to who you are inviting to walk with you, because it can be a beautiful walk or a long, hard walk, depending on your decision. And it's not saying anything is perfect in this life, but if you have the right partner, that partner can say, hey, hold on, let's take a break let's stop on the bridge and sit down for a minute, because we've both been walking for some miles. We'll be okay. We got time. We still are on time. Instead of the person that's going to be like, we're not stopping. I told you Neiman's closed at 9. Let's keep walking. I'm just making a point. So basically, your mind is on what you want and not necessarily the well-being of your partner. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So let's talk about. I want to talk about this particular aspect of the investment that we might not necessarily consider to be important, but it is very important. And it's the aspect and the ability to be patient with your investment. I think a lot of us want we want what we want, and we want it right now. We make the investment, we're expecting an overnight return on that thing that we invested in. But the reality is that no investment worth its time automatically overnight yields a dividend. Yeah, for sure.
It takes time. And this is the thing that we become anxious about, because we want what we want right now.
That's it.
Oh yeah, okay. I made the investment. I'm putting what I'm putting in. Yeah, I'm putting in my time. I'm paying for this. I'm buying this particular stock. I see a possibility with this one. I see a possibility with that one. But you aren't willing to be patient with that person long enough to see an actual dividend pay off, because the first moment they don't do what you think they should do, or they act in a way that you don't want them to act, okay, you're ready to cut them off.
That's it.
You're ready to shut it down. So you're like, okay, now you needed to have done that better. You need to talk to me differently. You need to respect me. You know what I'm saying? That's how we flow with it. That's how we go with it. You know what I'm saying? And but we don't realize that if we're going to be with this person, first of all is a human being. They're not God. They're not perfect. They're going to make mistakes. How about this? How about you realize that you entering into this relationship, you're going to make mistakes. You're gonna mess up from time to time. But what's needed in this relationship is the ability to be patient. Be patient with the investment that you made. Understand the investment that you made. Understand the person in which you made the investment in. And be willing to work out whatever issue there might be there. And again, I think a lot of times we are so quick to hop on, we see what everybody else is doing on Instagram. We see what everybody else is doing. They're posting up snapshots of their lives in terms of where they are and what they're doing. And they're like, I want this right now. I want what they got. Relationship goals. Okay. But you don't understand that you can't just achieve a goal overnight, but that it actually takes time to achieve that goal. Just like with anything in this life, it takes time if you're actually going to get it done. It takes time, which means it's going to require that you are able to delay your own satisfaction and gratification for a period of time until that thing comes to full fruition. That's what patient is. Patient means I can deny myself at this present moment in time until a later moment in time, until that thing that I'm waiting on actually comes to full fruition. This is what it means to be in a relationship. It means that I am willing to wait until the right time when that investment actually yields the dividend that I made the investment for, that it comes forward. And the only reason why that it's able to come forward was because I was able to be patient in the relationship. Y'all not gonna like that. Y'all don't like what I just said. I understand, because you want what you want. Why can't you change it right now? Why can't you do it right now? I need you to fix that right now. No, you need to be patient. You want somebody to have grace on you. You want somebody to be patient with you when you mess up. I know you do. I know you do, because every time you mess up, you're looking at me like I'm crazy. What? You need to be patient. Let's slow it down. Here's the other thing that I want to talk to you about in terms of the whole patient aspect. Take your time. Why are you running to the finish line? Why you got to do it so fast? Why don't you build it the right way the first time so that it actually lasts? Because a lot of us are building things, building relationships, and they can't stand the test of time. You know why? Because you ain't build it right. You know why? Because you're rushing. You know why? Because you're
impatient. That's it. And most of what we're doing, to be honest, some of us, we are so bad at investing, right? That the first sign of that stock maybe being a little volatile, potentially, right? What we do is, let me get out of the long stock and get into the business of the short penny stock gains. And what that means is we go from the decent relationship, we get mad, we go out here, and we just open ourselves to start meeting a lot of other potential investment properties. And we don't just meet one and ride that out. We meet this one, that comes volatile, it's a bust. We meet the next short stock, and then you have reinvested yourself so many times that when you get to a point where you may call yourself having some patience, you're depleted. Now your stock is low, right? And now the person is like, well, you like, I think you done exhausted yourself a bit. Kind of get your weight up a little bit and come back and see me. You understand what I'm saying? And so you got to be careful when we are out here making these investment decisions the way we are, because at the end of the day, an investment is an investment. It's either you are sowing something into good ground or you are not. It is the job of the investor to examine where he or she is depositing themselves. You can't you can't rely on the other person to just show up with a printout and say, see, these are all the nutrients that's in my soil. If you come over here and invest in me, you're going to be a wonderful man or woman. No, people just show up with a smile, and you have to, then the guessing game begins, right? You got to start your sowing and hope for some reciprocation, your communication, you doing all these things trying to understand the person. But like you said earlier, in today's world, we rather play it safe. We rather sit back in the cut and let you take all of the investment risk, right? While we watch you invest, right? And know that you messing up the investment, and then we get upset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So Kimberly Adiva says something, and I partially agree with what she's saying, but I want to kind of like dig a little deeper into this. She says we have to be careful with the whole patience thing, because patience will have you in a project and hanging onto potential, and and with who they really are. A lot of people are happy to hop on a project and think patience will cover them. You will be bankrupt in love and in trouble. So yeah, I agree partially with it, but I think one of the things that we need to watch out for when it comes to potential relationships and being involved with people is the fact that you can't. And I know some people will have a tendency to want to do this or whatever. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just saying, as a rule, you need to be careful with this.
Okay.
When I was dating my wife, in terms of us being together, working out our issues, having discussions in terms of where we were in our own lives, I never saw her as a project. I never saw my relationship as a project. As a matter of fact, I don't think of myself as a project.
Yeah.
Because a project is something that is in the process of being worked on. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with projects in and of itself, but they're not the finished product.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're in the process of. They're in the process of becoming the finished product. If you are walking into a relationship and you consider it, or you consider them, you consider him or her to be your project, you should not be in that relationship. I'm just saying. Because nobody, listen, y'all, nobody should be your project.
Okay.
Listen. I know I'm gonna get a lot of pushback.
Come on.
It's cool. I'm fine with it. But the reality is that if I'm walking into a relationship as a project that needs to be worked on, then I shouldn't be walking into that relationship, because it's obvious that I'm not ready for that relationship because I'm still in the process of being worked on. Now, again, I understand we're not perfect. We all come with flaws, deficiencies, all those inadequacies. I totally get that. I totally understand that. But the reality is that you have to at least be ready for the relationship, not a project being worked on. None of us should be project. None of us should be. Come on, y'all help me.
Well, let's flip it around. Let's flip it around a little bit. Okay. When we, and I'm not talking about Kimberly, in this instance, I'm just making an example.
Yeah.
How do we arrive at positions that we know what's a project and what's not? I'm going somewhere with this one.
Okay.
Because to say someone else is potentially a product eludes that you are a finished product, right? You're saying I'm finished. So I know what a project looks like, and I don't have time to waste my finished self on somebody in process.
Okay.
I'm saying that to say this is a wake-up call to all of us who deem ourselves as not having time for this, that, and the other, and I'm finished. Here's a wake-up call. I have not seen a project at work or let's see, a manufacturer that produces anything that when it is finished, it does not go to market. So the point I'm making, if you are finished, you should be on the in the market, meaning you at the store and you have gotten purchased.
Right.
And if you're not purchased yet, you're not a finished product. So all of us have to be realistic with ourselves. True. We may be a lot further along than person X in our maturity.
True.
But when we are finished, the whole goal of being finished on the conveyor belt, I've never seen a factory that has a conveyor belt of things being fixed and packaged. And when you look around, I'm like, what's over there? Oh, the things we finished 6 months ago. Well, they're not on the trucks and going out to the store. Oh, nah, we just, they still trying to look around the warehouse and see who like them. No, they are done. They get shipped out.
Right.
So a sign to ourselves is, let's check ourselves. Am I done? Because if I'm not done, then why am I still here?
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm a finished product, so that I think I am, whether I'm divorced, whether I am organically single, whether I've never been married, whatever the case, if you deem yourself a finished packaged product, then you are out to production.
Yeah.
You don't sit in the warehouse.
That's
if
right.
you're in the warehouse, something is not right.
Yeah.
We got to be realistic with ourselves. And
Yeah.
a lot of times it's our own denial. I'm speaking to my own self.
Yeah.
We all could think a lot of things about where we could be and go, and I'm going to do this. And it be those small things that that need correcting on our packages.
Right.
Maybe the logo is wrong. Maybe
Right.
the trademark sign ain't on there. Maybe
Right.
we need to go in there. Did you put the contents in the right box? Make sure. But
Yeah.
don't deem yourself as finished, because finished means you have been inspected, stamped, approved, and ready to market.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the market, there is some work happening still.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying on all of us.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good, because I would actually submit that to not consider yourself a project means that you have developed and you have matured
Correct.
as a person.
Yeah.
Meaning that I am now ready to be in a relationship. I'm ready because I'm mature enough to handle the responsibility and the accountability of being in a relationship. Now, that does not mean that I don't have room for improvement. That does not mean there isn't further room for growth. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every one of us have room for growth, room for improvement. Let me just use this as an example. So when we moved into this house wasn't being built. This house wasn't under construction like some newer houses are. Under construction, you have to wait before. But it was already move in ready. All we had to do was move in. Now, granted, we did some things to the house once we got in. We made some changes. We made some improvements to the house once we got in. But when we moved in the house wasn't a fixer-upper, if you will. I didn't want to use that. It wasn't a fixer-upper because it was already fixed up.
Yeah, it was turnkey, as they say.
It was turnkey. Yeah, exactly. It was already ready. Not that it was perfect, because it was not perfect.
Yeah,
but it was ready. And here's the distinction: you can be ready, but not perfect. That's what we're trying to say.
Got it.
You can be ready for the relationship, ready for the investment, but not perfect. You're not going to be perfect. You ain't going. It ain't so. You ain't supposed to be perfect on this side of Lord. You got me going to church. You ain't supposed to be perfect on this side of the Jordan. Okay, you're supposed to be ready, but not perfect. Y'all, you about to make me quote some Bible on here real quick. But you understand what I'm saying? And so what you have to do when you're looking at the investment and when you're looking at the prospectus and the possibility of the stock being able to yield the dividend, you look at the stock's ability and viability to be able to return that investment with an increase, which means that stock is ready to receive your investment. The stock is not perfect,
but it's ready.
But it's ready to receive your investment and yield a return when it's supposed to.
And I think now what you said, I think that is spot on. And that is, like you said, recognize that you're not perfect.
Right.
But your job is to be ready for investment.
Yes.
Right. Ready for investment. And like you said, all of those contents that come through the warehouse, their role is just to be ready for processing.
Right.
We don't have, if not, guess what? When you come through there and those inspectors say, hey, is the box in line? If you're not ready, you know what they do? Pull you off the shelf.
Yeah, pull you off.
So if you're not ready, you get pulled, then you get thrown into what they call the defective pile, right? Because you need to be tended to a little more. So the point is, when we're out here, let's show up ready and humble.
Yeah.
Ready and humble to realize I'm not finished.
Right.
I'm in package condition, but I'm not finished. Because if I was finished, I wouldn't be in this warehouse. I would have been consumed outside in the business, right? I wouldn't be here. So the fact that I'm on this conveyor belt says I'm still being placed under construction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so let me even push this thing a little further along down the road. So I don't want y'all to think that, okay, as a single person, that the ultimate goal is for me to be with somebody and to be married. Because I think a lot of us have that thing in our mind that is the finish line. That's the goal. That I need to get married, and that will be it. Yeah. I'm here to let you know that's not it.
Oh God!
I'm here to let you know that's not it. Here, because marriage.
You're picking a hard argument now, Adam. Go ahead. You picking a big one.
I know. I'm probably gonna get some pushback, but it's okay. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. So marriage is literally the jumping off point for you to continue to advance, grow, and develop into the person that you are supposed to be. You see what I'm saying? So again, it ain't about your perfection. Marlena, she said it. Perfection does not exist here on earth. No, it does not. Wow. It does not exist here on earth. But I can be ready for what I'm supposed to be ready for. So in my marriage, again, it's not the end all be all, but it's literally pushing me into the next phase of my life as a married man, as a husband, as a wife, as a spouse. I'm in the next phase now. And now while I'm in this phase, I'm continuing to grow. I'm continuing to mature. I'm continuing to develop. I'm in the place where I'm supposed to be cultivated. I'm supposed to be strengthened and stretched in this place in whole new ways that I never imagined that I thought I would ever be. But this is what I'm trying to get you to understand, that the marriage is not the end goal. It's not. And I know some of y'all saying, but it is, but it's not.
The readying of self. The
continued growth and maturity and development and cultivation of who you are as a person, so that you offer your spouse the best you could possibly be within the confines and the context of your relationship. That even as a married man, as wives, that we are continuing to make that investment as that investment continues to return a dividend to us. Because I'm telling you, you got to continue. You think trying to get married is hard? How about trying to stay married? And I'm not trying to say that staying married is hard, because my mind is this. When I do the work that I'm supposed to do, it's not hard. It becomes a little easier. That doesn't mean that I don't put effort in. It doesn't mean that I don't make the investment. I absolutely have to make the investment in this in order for this to continue to yield the dividend. Because if I stop making the investment, then there is no dividend to be returned. You see what I'm saying?
You're bringing. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
No. You're bringing a great point when you tapped into the part of the end goal for many of us is what it is, because culturally that's what's been put in our face.
Right.
You know, as young girls, they're told, get ready, and let me teach you how to do this and this, so that day when you get married, you want to do this for your husband. You know, you're taught that the men, if they're I say this loosely, if they're in positive arenas, they're prepared to be providers and leaders. You're taught how to present yourself and be, so when you take on your wife, you'll be a good husband. And in the church arenas, it's just like when the single folk are in there, it is now, look, you're going on, find you somebody, because I know y'all ain't out here keeping yourself, find you somebody. And that's kind of where you're left. But that doesn't warrant us being ready, right? We're just told to do things and wish for things, but a lot of people are wishing for things that they're not ready to entertain. It sounds good, and culturally it should be what I should be. Right. But we're at a point, Adam, where we're almost criticized. You could even be in a relationship, but you're criticized for enjoying being single. And what I mean by enjoying, I'm not talking about you out here being a player. I'm talking about enjoying the sanctity of yourself.
Yeah.
You can want to be married and want to be in a relationship, but it is almost frowned upon if you're too content.
Wow.
Wait a minute, you're too content. Now, to me, I would say, knowing where I came from, it is a blessing to be content first.
Yeah.
Then choose.
Then
you don't want the person to just choose on the run. You want them to be choose you while they are settled.
Okay.
So I think we don't give ourselves a chance as single people, not saying go out here and date all these people, even in relationship, if that's your thing. Be content. The word even says, it talks about being content with self first. Like, you know, basically saying be content in all things, right? Don't just be doing things just because you think it's a need and it needs to be a button put on it. It doesn't matter if you're not ready to entertain that beautiful union. It's not to say, like you said, marriage is still going to be work after you do it.
That's right.
But the better prepared you are when you walk up to it, the better chance you have of overcoming those hurdles.
Yes.
But can you imagine? It's almost like saying, all right, you know how they have those ninja warrior things, competitions. You know, when you see them going through all those kind of obstacle courses and all that.
Right.
So just imagine having a partner with you and you're like, okay, babe, they invited us up. We got to go to this ninja course. Come on, you ready? And she's like, yeah. Or he's saying, yeah. And let's just say your woman balks off. She jumping over the things, swimming, doing like this. And the man like, hold on. He ain't ready, right? Somebody's not ready. You said you were, but when it got to the obstacle course, you're not. You don't have the stamina. You've fallen out. We can't take what's happening. So this is the equivalent of what happens in marriage. When you're not ready, the first argument we have, and you show up to the library, the first person to smile at you, you let them take you to dinner because you're not ready.
Wow.
You're emotional. You're not ready because you feel like, well, he got me twisted. I didn't sign up for this. No, you didn't train for this.
Right.
You got to train you for this. Just for like anything else we do, we prepare for tests at work. We prepare when we're being interviewed. We prepare to go, even when a person that want to be a policeman or fireman, they go through training and drills. But for this, we don't want to do nothing but show up.
Right.
That's it. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's real talk. And so kind of piggyback off that. And this is true for everybody. This is true for everybody. But I definitely want to direct this to the singles, to those who aren't married and even may not even be in a relationship right now. We're talking about investments. We're talking about investment and possibility in terms of being in a relationship with people and things like that. But I want to also encourage you to make an investment in you. I think a lot of times we underestimate our own value. We don't have a proper assessment and appraisal of our own personal worth. We don't. And so when somebody else comes through and they see us and they assign to us a value that is actually far less than what we're actually worth, but because we have not assessed and appraised our own value, we take that and we say, yeah, I'm worth this. When in fact, we're actually worth more than that. The reality is that we have to make the investment in us first.
Wow.
Before you make an investment in anybody else, in a relationship, in any other possibility of a person that you might consider being in a relationship with, you, my brother and sister, you have to make an investment in you.
Wow.
Before anybody else makes an investment in you, you have to evaluate your worth, appraise your value, and make the appropriate investment in you before anybody else does. That's absolutely imperative.
Paramount.
Because you don't you don't want somebody to come along and look at you and assess your value as far less than what you actually are worth. You want them to give you the value that you're actually worth. Why should you settle or even sell for far less than what you're worth?
Wow.
Understand what your value is and make that investment in you. So when that next person comes along, they have to follow suit with the investment that you made in you first. Then you can make the investment in them, and then you can make the investment in the relationship. But it all starts with you making an investment in you.
Wow, that's good, man. Just to piggyback on that, think of it from, let's look at how most of us, if you're employed in any kind of way, and if you're with a company that has a 401k, right? The first thing they tell you is you can contribute this, but we're going to match it, right? We're going to match it. Here is the test. If this is investment in the greatest perspective. When you imagine the employer being the partner that you're meeting or with, and that person is saying, I like you, Adam. I'm going to match you, what you do. Let's practice not just saying, all right, I'm just going to donate into my 401k, the absolute minimum required.
Okay.
Go above. Because that's saying I'm willing to stand behind myself, that I'm good stock, right? And that I'm going to lend a residual later. Yeah. But so we're so comfortable with saying I'm matching your energy, because if we just go off of the employer matching what we give and we give what we give, there's really no upside. It's just all a gamble. The upside comes when one person steps out to say, you know what? I know that person said they're going to give what I give in this, but I'm going to just do a little bit of, I'm going to do a little bit more that may make me appear to be vulnerable, but I'm expecting something great. So I don't want to just be minimal. I want to do something great. So I'm going to go above and beyond, no matter how lame it makes me look. Right. I'm going to take the risk because I'm looking for the bigger return in all of this. And if this person is going to be a partner with me, they're either going to be encouraged by what I do, and all of a sudden they're going to start giving more of themselves, or they're going to be like, I think you're doing too much. And then guess what? That's fine too, because now we realize the stock is not working. And thank you. Now I can place this in another account. You understand what I'm saying? But you have to get there to find that out. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. All right.
That's good, bro.
All right, man. We appreciate you all today tuning in tonight. You know, y'all know when Adam is feeling better, because I should just give him a towel, wipe his brow. You know, he's preaching and everything. Anyway, so no, we appreciate you guys tuning in on today. Another episode of Perspectives Love Talk Radio. As usual, every Thursday, 4:30 p.m. until further notice. That is, if we may shift times, but 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll definitely look forward to you guys continue to support. Thank you, by the way, for always supporting, and even those that share. And definitely pray for the ones who don't share. But anyway, nonetheless, we appreciate you guys for supporting us. Nonetheless, so please tell a friend. We all are in this all we're doing is starting the conversation of many conversations that need to be had, that we can just talk about them. We're opening up these cans and just talking about them. There is no authoritarian on any of this. We're just enjoying talking with you all. You guys be teaching us with your comments too. So we're all just learning together. That's it. Yeah. All right. Now it's probably time to tear down what we just learned. All right. Now, here's a question for you, Adam.
What's up?
We're gonna leave it off on this.
All
right. I hear the Christian community talking, and I hear the chatter, and I hear the other side of the secular community that may buy into this chattering, and they're saying a good investor not only researches but tests the stock before they invest. So on tonight, Adam, what do you say to the people who are saying, I want to invest, Adam, but I'm not having sex? I don't want to invest me in that way. I'm just making an example, right? Because some people look at that certainly at certain ages, they look at that as this is an investment. I need to know what that is before doing this. So in situations like that, how are they to approach investing if they're investing with the belief that I don't want that to be a part of it, even if they're imperfect? You get my drift.
I mean, hey, okay, so if we're going to do this the right way, then your testing of the stock should not include the review of that particular aspect of the relationship at this point, because it's not ready. You're not ready for that. You're not committed. You're definitely not married. So why would that be a part of that process in terms of evaluating it?
Because some people engraft that in their process. Yeah, they want you to work. Yeah, they want you to have some benefits. Yeah, they want you to be marriage-minded, family person. But again, we're talking about people who are seasoned, maybe been married before, got some age on them. They understand they're not just 21 and 25. These are people who have been in life. And some of them have been in marriages where the bedroom wasn't suitable in some instances, and they wish they would have learned before. I'm just making an example. Okay. So I'm not trying to say this to say it has to happen. I'm just saying you have to have specific conversations to deal with that. Yeah,
I think you should be having a conversation about that particular aspect, but I don't think you should be engaging in that particular aspect. And here's the thing: if you're older and you've been in a marriage or you've been in a couple of relationships and that kind of thing happened, then you understand the entanglement that automatically occurs
comes with that
when you put yourself out there in a physical, sexual way, in your effort to test the stock, if you will. That's not something that you want to do. That's not something that you want to participate in, because again, it's just going to muddy the waters. You're not going to be able to think clearly about what it is that you need to do. And so I would just advise against that. Don't do it. As difficult as it might be to say no, you need to say no so you can say, you need to say no today so you can say yes tomorrow. How about that?
That's good. All right. Well, let's put a pin on that one. That's excellent, sir. Thank you again, guys. We'll definitely see you guys next week. And thanks again for tuning in, and even those that hang over for the after show. But anyway, next week, same time, Thursday, 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. God bless.
Peace.